Hello, I'm Theolyn, and welcome to my new series, Bridge of Stars. This is quite a departure for me because usually I make videos and my dear husband, Will, records them for me, and they're all reasonably carefully planned. Just as when I used to give university lectures, I planned what I was going to say. But we often find that things that come spontaneously are somehow more on the button, like we are connected to something that needs to be said that we can't plan. So I've called this series Bridge of Stars, and it's designed really to help bring through wisdom, nuggets of wisdom from wherever we can find them. And I hope I can contribute in some way if you, like me, are stuck at home and feeling the immense pressure, collective pressure, that is mounting almost daily as we realise that an idea of staying at home for a week or so is turning into 6 weeks or so. And we also realise that what we thought was normal will never be normal again. And I came to call the series Bridge of Stars because I was inspired quite suddenly by noticing one of my favourite books, actually, in my library on the bookshelves. And it's called The Bridge of Stars. Here it is. Prayers, Blessings and Meditations from Around the World. Edited by Marcus Braybook, who's been involved with the World Congress of Faiths, and the foreword is by the Dalai Lama. And it's just a magnificent book to hold, beautifully illustrated, and it's got lots and lots of wonderful, inspiring quotations in it. And I think I shall have this by my side for every episode and see what comes up when I delve inside it on your behalf. But one of the other things that I thought I would do is to use my own pack of angel script cards. And the angel script cards, I'll show you a little bit more detail in a moment, just in case you're new to my work and you haven't come across them. But the angel script cards have a lot of characters. Some of the cards are like alphabetical characters, and they do look a bit like star constellations. So the whole concept of Bridge of Stars kind of goes like this. I wrote a blog about it, a brief blog about it, which you can see on the website. But I got this feeling that we are collectively moving across a bridge. Some people use the expression light at the end of the tunnel, but I don't myself want to use the metaphor of a tunnel, because a tunnel is very enclosed and it implies that there is no light as you're moving through it. You don't get the light until the end. And I think there is light, and that's the starry sky. If you walk across a bridge, especially at night time, the stars above you will be shining. You will see them. They're there anyway, even in the daytime, of course. And for me, what I feel we need to recall all the time when we're socially distanced from other human beings is that we are not distanced from anything else in the cosmos. We are not distanced from the stars. We are not distanced from the other creatures on the planet, actually, or the grass, or the trees, or the rocks and the mountains. That's all interconnected, not just us as humans. And a lot of emphasis is being placed at this time on staying connected with our fellow human beings. And obviously we need to do that. And that makes us feel comfortable and at home, in a difficult time. we can always remind ourselves during this time that we are connected. In ancient times, you see, when people didn't have streetlights and communications like we have, very ancient times, people were looking at the skies all the time, and they were experiencing a sense of connectedness to the whole cosmos. They experienced the stars and the planets as gods and angels. Even sometimes the word for a star was the same as the word for an angel. And so if we think of ourselves as crossing a bridge from an old way of doing things towards a new potential future, a beautiful world, which we know in our heart is possible, we can take a different approach to this process that we're going through. We don't know what's the other side of the bridge, but we can say to ourselves, we are being watched over. You know, the whole cosmos is involved in our story. We tend to think of ourselves as human beings who are kind of like a separate species, and we're separate from everything else, and we're just on this planet where there's a load of stuff, and but we're not. We're embedded in something vast, and that vastness may seem quite distant from us. It may seem as though that vastness doesn't even care about us. But most people who have spiritual experiences and near-death experiences and meet angels, those people say, yes, actually, there is something that cares about us. Don't matter what the word is, doesn't matter if it's God or angels or whatever, but there's a sense of creative benevolence. There's a sense of potential harmony, potential balance. So that's where the Bridge of Stars is hopefully leading us, that there are lights in the heavens that we can follow. And some of those lights may be giving us warnings. Some of those lights may be welcoming us and encouraging us. But there are lights, there are stars, there are intelligences in the cosmos, not just human beings. So let me just go on to the Angel Script card pack. For those people who don't know it, it's a pack of 36 cards with channeled messages. The messages came through, and the first edition was published in the mid-90s. So 97, I think, the first edition. And I received the messages the year before, and then we developed a pack of cards. And the cards consist of, and you'll see a few of these over the next few episodes, the cards consist of 23 altogether of these little character cards, I call them, and they do look perhaps a bit like constellations. Somebody called them star runes. So, and here's another one like that. So they're made up of lines and tiny orbs of light. The rest of the pack includes a series of angelic beings. And again, these will come up in the next few days and perhaps over the next few weeks. Here's another angel. This one's actually got wings and a baby. So the angel script messages were channeled. There's a whole story about that on a backstory about that, which I won't go into too much now. But in times of trouble, when you're crossing a bridge, when you want some wisdom, then the angel script seems to deliver, and people who've been using these cards for like 20 years sometimes, they always say it's their go-to deck. It's not predictive. It's to do with opening your insight, opening your intuition. So what I'm thinking I will do is every day I will draw one of these cards. every day that I do an episode, and I think I'll probably do episodes most days. So I decided for the first card that I would actually choose the card myself rather than choose it blind. And I'm going to do something perhaps a bit daring. I've chosen the most difficult card because that's perhaps our starting point. And the most difficult card, probably, or there's another one that's a bit challenging. So the most difficult card is called Theft, Pain. And it's quite interesting because I did a reading for a friend of mine just a couple of days ago, and this card actually came up for her. And I said at the time, I think this card is just like for everybody at the moment. And it always reminded me of a series of gates, the kind of gates that you get on an old-fashioned lift, where the metal clatters from one side to the other like this, boom, 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 like. So it's like a gateway of some kind, or it's like a fence, or it's like some kind of restrictive barrier that one is experiencing as a limitation and a challenge. That's what pain is. Pain is frustration when you can't move forward, and frustration if you're locked in. So I thought I'd start with this card and just talk about the feelings that we have when we are locked in, or when something that we expect to get in our life is refused to us because our mother or our father or the government have told us, no, you can't have that. You can't have that freedom anymore. You are stuck in a prison. And in fact, the reading actually opens with, pain is a prison of our own making. So if we're in a room and we think, oh, this is a prison, then that is to do with our perspective on it. And I always think of Nelson Mandela when I see this, 27 years in a solitary confinement, but apparently every day doing his press-ups. So we have to be aware that our attitude to being enclosed or imprisoned or our freedoms taken away from us is totally an interior perspective. And if we hold that in our minds, and I think a lot of people are working on that, a lot of people are saying, oh, I can use this time, I can read books I haven't read, I can watch movies I haven't seen, and make it a time of pleasure and fun in many ways. I know lots of people are doing that, but at the same time, lots of people are fearful about actually when you go back into that ease and that comfort and that way of being that's almost irresponsible and playful, well, there must be some kickback. The economy is going to collapse, for example. So those are thoughts about the concept of pain. And there are angels who can ease our pain. And over the next few episodes, I'm going to be offering you a great deal of insights from the Angel Script Pack and from any other sources that come to mind. So let me finish by looking quickly in the Bridge of Stars. And I came across this one. It's called The Signpost. Life is like a journey. Each new year is a milestone. But where is there a signpost, a guide to the lost life wanderer? Here, from a distant tower, the bells ring down a melodious tune from that tower, that giant signpost. And the answer to my question comes down. And that quotation is from a man called Theodore Fontaine, who I hadn't come across until I read this in the book. He lived 1819 to 1898. He was a German. So that's what I'm wrapping up for you today, and I'll be back in touch. I think it'll be tomorrow. Blessings.